Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I owe you an apology. Yes, this live stream's late. We had a little bit of a too long of a live stream. I don't know how the hell I'm supposed to put this on the Flock Fantasy channel. A lot of y'all are already there, but I'm going to be super excited to get this going. Look into some Dynasty Fantasy Football teams. But before we do, make sure you drop a like. Make sure to subscribe to the channel if you play Dynasty Fantasy Football. And of course, if you want to get access to my Dynasty rankings, you want to get access to the Dynasty rankings of all your favorite content creators, plus you want to get your team broken down on a live stream just like this, find all of that on flockfantasy.com. Sign up to flockfantasy.com with promo code FLOCK in that mother flocker package. And that's how you're going to get yours truly to go through and break down your Dynasty Fantasy Football team. But first, let's pull this up for Bad Justice, the first team we will be looking at. Thank you so much, my friend, for coming out and hanging out with us in this live stream, saying, hey, Mason, screenshots below my team for the breakdown. It's a 10-team full PPR, half a point per passing yard. No, I'm sorry, 0.05 points per passing yard. So you get 1 point per 20 passing yards with 4 IDP spots. Tax is 2 years. I'm really stacked at wide receiver, but concerned about the long-term stability of the quarterback position. Anthony Richardson is awesome and has insane upside, but is the furthest thing from a sure thing. I was thinking about trying to move Richardson for Garrett Wilson. His owner is willing to make that deal, and then package Olave or JSN with Dak for Burrow, Jalen Hurts, or Justin Herbert. Okay, so if you are telling me that we are able to go through and we are able to package together Jackson Smith-Njigba as well as Dak Prescott, and then go through and trade that for Jalen Hurts, and then in return, trade away Anthony Richardson to get back Garrett Wilson, I think it is an intriguing deal. It is very dependent on what you perceive to be the range of outcomes for Anthony Richardson. I know you were saying that you don't think he's a sure thing. You think that there is a lot of risk that you may have with that profile. And if that's what you believe, sure, maybe you go ahead and pull the trigger there. I honestly would be a little hesitant. Keep in mind, it's a 10-team Superflex league, not a 12-teamer. But I finished 7th last year, but it was largely due to our strength of schedule. I just happened to play every opponent that exploded that particular week like 8 times. Okay, well, big thing is, my man, you got to play better defense. All right, like if you're going into these matchups and just letting up 1,000,000 points, you are going to have to zero in. I don't know, maybe do some pep talks, figure out what's going on with your team. Don't let that happen. I feel much better going into this next season, especially if Lamar can stay healthy. I'm open to any and all suggestions. You can make the dopest fantasy content on YouTube. I was looking forward for a home after Tags passed away at Fantasy Pros and found it here. Well, thank you so much for being a member of the flock, my friend, and RIP Tags. Of course, I actually have a Tag Strong hat over there. We used to wear it in a lot of videos. Probably should throw it back, but let's go ahead and let's dive into this team. And first thing we will see is we have Lamar Jackson, Dak Prescott, and I think you said Anthony Richardson, right, at quarterback. And Anthony Richardson at quarterback. So I know you were sitting here saying, okay, well, maybe we are not fully sold on our quarterback room. And I completely understand why you would think that after this past season, right, where you really didn't have anything from Lamar Jackson. He was injured the majority of the year. You had a strong start, but I mean, after that, pretty much nothing. Dak Prescott definitely was not great. I mean, with Dak Prescott, you had to deal with a multitude of issues, including the interceptions. And you also didn't have Anthony Richardson. So while I completely understand, and while maybe you're a little bit scarred from the quarterback room and what happened last season, in reality, it is a completely different situation. It is a completely different team that we are looking at now. I think that if you have Lamar Jackson, Anthony Richardson, and Dak Prescott, you have an incredible range of outcomes. I think you have a lot of upside. I think you have a high floor as well. If these guys stay healthy, you're good to go. Because the big thing is, you can look at Anthony Richardson, right? And even if Anthony Richardson is a quote-unquote bad NFL player, like Anthony Richardson may fail from an NFL standpoint, given his rushing upside, he could still be a great fantasy option. Like, look at Justin Fields. I always hate to pick on him, but he's the perfect example. The Chicago Bears literally earned the #1 overall pick this past season. Justin Fields had the worst passing offense in Chicago that we've seen since 2010. But Justin Fields is an elite option in fantasy that you can start each and every week because of rushing upside, rushing upside, rushing upside. So Anthony Richardson, you have that rushing upside. You have the job security given his NFL draft capital. He's exactly what we thought Trey Lance was 2 years ago. I'm willing to go right back to that well. I think you were completely fine at quarterback. I do not think we need to do anything from here. And I honestly don't want to overthink it. I don't want to sell Richardson for Garrett Wilson and then turn around and package a wide receiver with Dak Prescott to get an upgrade. I think that we are chilling. All right. Now going over to running back, we have Josh Jacobs as well as Travis Etienne. So Jacobs, franchise tag. Travis Etienne actually older than you'd assume. I mean, obviously we've only had one season from Travis Etienne, but he's played 4 seasons at Clemson, and then he missed his rookie year. So, I mean, Travis Etienne is actually more so in line with someone like Josh Jacobs when it comes to his age, even though, I mean, obviously Jacobs drafted in 2019, Travis Etienne drafted in 2021. But regardless, both these guys, hyper-productive assets in the short term. Kenneth Walker is going to be an interesting player in that I do think we have a relatively high floor with Kenneth Walker. But with the addition of Zach Charbonnet, at this point, I don't necessarily think it's a possibility that you see Kenneth Walker go out there and turn into a true 3-down workhorse back. And instead, I think you have like a running back 1A, running back 1B type situation here in Seattle. But nonetheless, I mean, you're still fine at running back. We have freaking Cam Akers down there on the bench. Going over to wide receiver, I mean, we have Chase, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Chris Olave, Jackson Smith-Njigba. So you possibly have 4 wide receiver ones in Dynasty. We have George Pickens down there in a flex spot as well with some year 2 upside. We have Elijah Moore, Darnell Mooney as some depth pieces here. Going over to tight end, I mean, we currently are sitting with George Kittle. George Kittle, obviously a win now asset. It's a very, very strong team. I really don't understand why you'd be worried about what we have at quarterback. I mean, going down to the taxi, we even have Roshan Johnson that could look to do something. One thing I do want to mention is with this being IDP, I'm very sorry. I'm not going to be able to talk about any of these individual defensive players in terms of what Sauce Gardner's actual value is in terms of rookie picks and if we should be looking to go through and quote unquote sell high or maybe ride out the production that we should get over the next few seasons. In reality, if we're only starting 1 defensive lineman, 1 linebacker, 1 defensive back, and 1 flex IDP, they're not going to matter. You'll always be able to go to the waiver wire and find someone that you can pick up and throw into your starting lineup. Now, with this being a 10-team league, we are starting a super flex, 3 flexes, a tight end, 3 wide receiver slots, 2 running backs, and a quarterback. So, I mean, it's a deeper starting lineup overall, which I definitely really like to see. I mean, if you're playing in like a 10-team format, you're only starting 7 to 8 offensive players. I mean, there I definitely think we need to be making an adjustment, but no, we're in a good situation. I'm trying to think of any realistic moves that we can make. Like I said, I don't like your trade at quarterback. If you really, really wanted to, I don't want to make any moves. I want to sit with this team. I want to ride this out. If you wanted to try to get some correlation in your starting lineup, I mean, maybe it wouldn't be the worst idea to just put out a feeler and see what the price tag on Mark Andrews is and go through and say, hey, man, what do I need to add to George Kittle to get to Mark Andrews, right? And if it's just like a 2nd-round pick, just go throw a 2nd-round pick and get Mark Andrews in return and then correlate with Lamar Jackson there. In terms of if this team's a contender or a rebuilder, you're 100% planning to contend this next season. If everything were to go off the rails, like if Lamar Jackson were to get injured and then Anthony Richardson, for whatever reason, doesn't start this season, and you're sitting here and going, okay, Mason, man, I'm 1-4. I need to look to rebuild for 2024. Then at that point, the guys that we'd be looking to sell in this roster would include George Kittle, Josh Jacobs, honestly, maybe even Travis Etienne, with him being just a little bit older than you'd assume from a 2021 drafted running back. I know I'm stumbling over my words here. I know I'm at a loss for words. I'm stumped. I think it is a very strong team. I think the last thing you should worry about is a quarterback room of Lamar Jackson, Dak Prescott, and Anthony Richardson. I think that you just sit on your hands, wait until we get to the start of the season, have a much better feel of where this team is headed at that point. One thing that I do want to say is if, for whatever reason, it is confirmed at one point that Trey Lance is not the starting quarterback for the 49ers and Brock Purdy is the starter, I would look to go ahead and see what we could get for Brock Purdy. Maybe if we could try to package together like Brock Purdy and George Pickens and get a wide receiver that we like in return. The issue with Brock Purdy is it's just a rush first offense where you don't have any rushing upside for him. God, I'm trying to come up with anything, my friend. I mean, obviously, if we could invest into a time machine and go back to last offseason, selling Courtland Sutton would have been a pretty good idea. I'm super sorry, my man. I think this is a great team. I don't think there's really anything that we can do. I think you're well balanced for both long-term and short-term production. I think we are already in a nice spot where if anything goes wrong at the beginning of this next year, we can make an easy pivot by just selling 1 to 2 key veterans and punting that production down to 2024. But again, thank you so much, my friend, for being a member of the flock and supporting the channel. I owe you an apology for this not being that good of a breakdown. I just think that you have a phenomenal team as is, and I really just want to be sitting on our hands, and I don't think we should be playing around with our quarterback position. But again, thank you so much. And if there's anything I can ever do for you, my friend, please do not hesitate to reach out to me and let me know. Be super happy to help you out with anything that I can. But Sebastian coming out with the donation says back-to-back live streams, absolute legend. Thank you, my man. Yeah, we have back-to-back live streams pretty much every single day at this point between the Dynasty channel and the main redraft channel. But let's go over to our next one, looking at Special K. Thank you, says, hey, Mason, love your work and the effort you put into your videos and the content on the website, which is what made me want to be a part of the flock. Thank you so much. And yeah, we have big time improvements coming to the website very soon for you, my friend. I'm in a 12-team PPR league with 11 starters. I'm headed into my second season after finishing with the worst record in year 1. I traded Mixon for the 109, which led me to draft a Zay Flowers while keeping all my original draft picks. It's pretty clear I have the bottom 3 team in my league, and I'm a rebuilding roster and would love to hear your suggestions for what I should aim to do with our team, such as who should we be looking to keep, who should we be looking to trade for, who should we be looking to target, etc. In order to compete for a championship in the near future, below I have a screenshot of my roster and league settings. Look forward to hearing what you have to say. Thanks in advance. So thank you, my friend. First thing I want to look at will be the league settings of this. And honestly, there's nothing to talk about. It's going to be, I mean, very, very standard. If you're looking at this 4-point passing touchdown format where you are getting just full PPR, not too much to discuss on that front. Now, if we're going to be going over and looking at the future picks, we have all our future picks, which is crucial if we are going to be a rebuilding team. Now, going to the starting lineup, okay, we'll be put in a couple different predicaments here. Okay, so with Josh Allen, it is very difficult to sit here and say, okay, he is quote unquote a rebuilding or a contending piece. It does not matter what your team is built like. Josh Allen obviously is a player that we can look to build around for the long term. Now, with that being said, if you are truly a rebuilding roster, it may not be the worst thing to do to see what kind of value you could get for Josh Allen. Because there are a couple facts about Josh Allen. His value really does not have anywhere to go but down. I think that we can say that is probably true, right? Now, of course, that's not to say everybody should go ahead and sell him. No, you would love to hold on to Josh Allen and ride out the production over the next few seasons if we really want to do that. But it's not like we can roster Josh Allen and say we're going to buy low on Josh Allen in 2023, and in 2024, all of a sudden he's going to be worth significantly more. Now, another thing is, if you are looking at Josh Allen, he is going to very much hinder our ability to get the 101 this next season. If we decide, you know what, I don't want to contend right now, and instead I want to go ahead and I want to play for 2024, 2025, the number one thing that we want to do is try to get the 101 and try to get Caleb Williams, get the 102, get Drake May, get Marvin Harrison Jr., whoever it may be. We want an extremely high rookie pick. I don't want to play for 2024 and then get pick 4, pick 5, pick 6, and not get an elite asset and then also not make any money this season. So I would not mind going through and seeing what kind of value we could get for Josh Allen. Now, if we were to look to go through and sell Josh Allen, of course, somebody would have to be overpaying. We would have to go through and we'd have to sell Josh Allen and get back Trevor Lawrence and multiple first-round picks and equivalent. That's what we're looking at. If you were looking at selling Josh Allen, it's not like we're just going to take 3 first-round picks and then call it a day. If you can get a truly elite long-term asset plus multiple first-rounders in the future to give us flexibility, that would be something that I'd be excited about. And that can be something that I think helps a rebuilding roster in a multitude of different ways. But we have to make sure that you are not selling them on the cheap. It's not like Allen in particular is someone we have to sell, right? It's just, does the right deal represent itself? Now, going over to what else we have at quarterback, we have Justin Fields. And Fields kind of fits the same mold in my mind. And I'll be the first person to admit Justin Fields is set up where it is a possibility he is a top 3 quarterback in fantasy this next season. The man was a borderline top 5 guy in fantasy this past year. And now you're getting a much improved offensive line. You're getting DJ Moore coming over. With the rushing upside Justin Fields has, it is entirely possible that he goes out there and he's a top 3 quarterback in fantasy. And the man is incredibly young. That is a player that you're also extremely excited about from a long-term and short-term perspective. But at the same time, with Justin Fields, it is also in the range of outcomes that he does lose value. It is a possibility, while maybe it's not the most likely scenario, but it is a scenario that, yet again, the Chicago Bears are sitting there with the top 3 pick, whether that's the pick that they have themselves or whether that's the pick that they are going to end up getting, say, from the Carolina Panthers. If they are sitting there with, say, pick 1, pick 2, pick 3, we can't be guaranteed that the Chicago Bears aren't going to be looking to, at that point, possibly take a quarterback. It's not like they're guaranteed to earn the 101 forever and then continuously trade that pick away and give Justin Fields every shot season after season after season. So I do think it's a small chance, but I do think it's in the range of outcomes that Justin Fields is a quarterback that does not have the most guaranteed job in 2024. And I have to be very careful of how I say this. But very similar to Josh Allen, if we could sell him with a no-brainer type deal, if we could go through and sell Justin Fields for Trevor Lawrence, where I have zero hesitation that Lawrence will be a starting quarterback in 2024, 2025, 2026, it's literally impossible for him to not be starting. That is another move that I'd look to make. Or say sell Justin Fields and in return get back someone like Justin Herbert. Now, going over to running back, Bijan Robinson is going to be someone that I'm fine holding. I understand most people who are sitting here and saying, okay, well, if you're not playing this year, that means you need to sell every single running back. If your running back's a rookie, I'm fine holding on to. I'm fine playing for 2024 with Bijan Robinson. James Cook, I don't think you're really going to be able to sell much right now, but if you were to see a massive spike week at the beginning of the year, if we could sell like James Cook in a second rounder and get back, a 2024 first, I think that could be exciting, but it's just not something we can do right now. I don't think you're going to get that kind of value return. Zach Charbonnet, definitely a long-term hold for us. Going over to wide receiver, A.J. Brown will be another one of these players that I'm looking to sell. It's not like A.J. Brown's not going to be productive in 2024, right? But if we look at the assets that we could get in return for A.J. Brown, you could possibly get assets that are actually going to go through and accrue in Dynasty Fantasy Football value an offseason from now. Whereas A.J. Brown, it doesn't really matter if he's a top 5 wide receiver yet again in fantasy. Whenever he's going to go into his age 26, 27 season in 2024, inherently A.J. Brown will be worth a little bit less in Dynasty. So there's really only downside in holding on and not cashing out of A.J. Brown if you can get fair and strong value for him on a rebuilding team for 2024. What I'd be looking to do is sell A.J. Brown and try to, in return, get back Drake London in a first. Try to go through and sell A.J. Brown and get back, say, Jackson Smith-Njigba in a first, right? If we can make a move like that and possibly have a wide receiver that continues to rise in value next offseason, I think that could be great, and also a pick that we can play around with potential trades there as well. London, perfect guy to build around. Jerry Jeudy, perfect guy to build around. Zay Flowers, perfect guy to build around for the long term. Going down to the bench, Jameson Williams would have been a sell for me before the suspension, but at this point, we're going to be looking to hold on to Jameson Williams, especially on a rebuilding team. Cole Kmet, completely fine holding on to Cole Kmet. If the Chicago Bears passing offense does improve this next season, he stands to greatly benefit. If you look at his market share numbers this past year, they're actually pretty damn good. The main issue that you had with Kmet was just the overall passing offense was so damn bad. So I know we're in a very difficult spot, right? Where we have elite assets that you don't really want to sell. You're not excited to go through and sell Justin Fields. You're not excited to sell Josh Allen. And I do want to be on record. They are two entirely different assets. Like Allen, we're looking for Trevor Lawrence +2 first if we're selling. Justin Fields, we're looking for Trevor Lawrence straight up if we're selling. But those are going to be players that I'm interested in moving on this team, similar to A.J. Brown. Even though these are elite assets, if we look at what will actually accrue in dynasty value and possibly help our team for the long term, while it's painful to sell studs and while it's very, very difficult to get studs on our dynasty team, I think maybe it makes a little bit of sense to go through and do it with a team that's just looking for 2024 in particular. But again, thank you so much again, my friend, for being a member of the flock and supporting the channel. I really hope that that made sense, what we were talking about. I really hope that we were able to help out in some way. And as always, if there's anything that I can do for you, please do not hesitate to reach out to me and let me know. I'd be super happy to help you out in any way that I can, my friend. Okay. But let's go ahead and let's get into our next team. This one coming out from SoCal Runner says, hey, Mason, great space and great content on YouTube. Enjoy listening to your live streams as well. Thank you, my man. I'm in a Superflex tight end premium, a full point tight end premium, 14-team league. Okay, so if you're going to be playing in a half-point tight end premium format versus a full-point tight end premium format, definitely two completely different monsters. And a half-point tight end premium format, I mean, real quick, SoCal Runner, I know you obviously have access to it. You are a member of flockfantasy.com, so go to the draft guide section that we have on the site and go check out our Dynasty research book. We actually did the math in how it changes in terms of the amount of flexible tight ends that there are in a half-point tight end premium league versus a full-point tight end premium format. Full-point tight end premium format, we're going to go through and put some of these guys at that flex spot. So we are definitely going to be making the adjustment here. But anyway, this is our current squad. I made some trades and acquired some solid pieces this past offseason. I'm in a rebuild because our startup was terrible. Looking for some advice on what to do next. I had a pretty good rookie draft that just ended. We got Richardson after trading up 2 times to secure the 102. Superflex 14-team league. Quarterbacks are very difficult to come by. But anyway, and some other pieces that could fit in nicely if they pan out. I'm shooting for 2024 to start competing with the top of the board. I have a good amount of draft capital available in 2024, and I'm leaning towards not trading any unless I'm getting great value in return. I've been offered Javonte for one of the 2024 first. Would be late based off of the manager's pick that I own. I'm running back needy and depth needy. Could use another quarterback, but feel comfortable with Richardson and Lawrence for now, unless a good deal comes up for one during the season. So first off, let's get a sense on if we are a team that actually has a shot to compete or if we should just be playing only for 2024. And a big thing is if you are just playing only for 2024, there's legitimately zero reason for you to ever sell a 2024 first. Ever. Now, if it is an obnoxiously good deal, if someone comes through and goes, hey man, I'll give you Bryce Young for a 2024 first, then of course we'll go ahead and yes, we'll trade it away. But a player like Javonte Williams, hell to the no. Maybe if we were contending, maybe if we were looking to push in right now, that could be a deal that we're looking at. But there's just no reason to sell 2024 first on a long-term approach. Whenever you think about it, I mean, our entire goal is just to stack up future value. And a 2024 first guarantees you that ability. Almost nothing can happen that actually loses value for that pick. Damn near nothing. Whereas with Javonte Williams, you could go trade that 2024 first for Javonte Williams. And let's say best case scenario, right? Javonte Williams turns into a low-end running back 1. And all of a sudden, he scores some points in our team, but we're still not a contender. So all of a sudden, we don't contend this next season. We get a worse rookie pick. And next offseason, Javonte Williams isn't worth just a first. He's worth a first and a second. That's like best case scenario. Why are we doing it? Because worst case scenario, what happens if we trade that 2024 first for Javonte Williams and the man continues to lose value? When we knew that 2024 was going to maintain it, not only would that 2024 first maintain its value, but at the same time, I mean, it's not going to be scoring points. We want the one-on-one, especially in a 14-team Superflex league. But nonetheless, let's go through this. Lawrence, Anthony Richardson, they're at quarterback. Love to see it, especially in a 14-team league We can confidently say both these guys are top 14 quarterbacks. Both have a ton of long-term upside. Love it. Going over to running back, we have Dameon Pierce, Clyde Edwards-Helaire in the starting lineup. Beyond that, if we're looking at the running back position, we have Roschon Johnson, and that's about it. So I agree. I do not think that this team is contending this next year. I think that you are in a phenomenal situation to continue to stack 2024 assets and be a dominant roster with the cornerstones of Trevor Lawrence and Anthony Richardson in 2024. So with Dameon Pierce, even though he is a younger option, I mean, I probably want to go ahead and sell Dameon Pierce because the vast majority of value that we are going to be getting from running backs in Dynasty will be their overall projection, the projection with the opportunity that they have. And Dameon Pierce projects to have opportunity this next season. So you can get some solid value for Dameon Pierce. Now, are we certain that that opportunity is going to be there for Dameon Pierce in 2024? Probably not. So for that reason, I'd be completely fine going through and selling Dameon Pierce if we can get back like a 2024 first and second, right? And then all of a sudden we have Roschon Johnson and Clyde Edwards-Helaire in our starting lineup, and we're pretty sure we're getting the 101 next year. Or 102, 103. Regardless, going to be a great player. Wide receiver, we have A.J. Brown, Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave, Christian Watson. I am completely fine holding on to these year 2 wide receivers that can continue to rise in value. Not going to be surprised if Chris Olave continues to rise. Not going to be surprised if Garrett Wilson continues. If Christian Watson, if all these guys continue to rise going into year 2, and they're worth more in Dynasty Fantasy Football Leagues in 2024, and we are able to continue to build around Lawrence, Richardson, Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave, Christian Watson. A.J. Brown, on the other hand, will definitely be a player that we're looking to go ahead and sell. With A.J. Brown, clearly the price point is going to be significantly higher than what you're looking at with a player like Dameon Pierce. And instead, we'd most likely be looking to sell, say, A.J. Brown, and in return, try to get back a younger wide receiver like Quentin Johnston plus a 2024 first, right? Or obviously, if we can go Jackson Smith and Jigba, Drake London plus a 2024 first, that's going to be a no-brainer. But instead, you're probably going to be looking at the Johnston-Addison range. Going down to the bench on what we have, I mean, it's not like we have too many wide receivers that are going to be productive in general. Like, this team doesn't really have any depth down there on the bench. Tight end, we don't have anybody either. I mean, we have the rookie tight end in Green Bay. Hopefully, he can turn out to eventually be something. But this is a team that just doesn't really have any depth. Jelani Woods definitely going to be a hold. If he does anything for us this next season, should be an exciting spot for 2024. But in general, I really like this team for the long haul. I think that if we have one more season of quote-unquote tanking by trading away those veteran assets or those assets that aren't likely to continue to rise in value going into next offseason, aka A.J. Brown, Dameon Pierce, trade away those guys for future picks, stack future picks, and then bring in either some phenomenal rookies next year or look to potentially sell those 2024 first-round picks next offseason after they have accrued that value for veterans to compete at that time. I think that could also be something that we're excited about. But I think that's all we have. Again, thank you so much, my friend. Really like this team in a 14-team format. I think it does have a lot of upside, especially if we get like the 101, 102, and we add in either Caleb Williams, Drake May, or maybe even the 103, and we get Marvin Harrison Jr. Regardless, we are going to be in a phenomenal spot. But again, thank you so much for being a member of the flock, my friend. And as always, if there's anything that I can do for you, please do not hesitate to reach out to me and let me know. I'd be super happy to help out in any way that I can. But thank you, everybody hanging out with us in the live stream today. We're probably going to go ahead and break down a couple of these teams on Personalized Podcast. After this, I have to go let the dog out, and we've been live for, almost about the past 2.5 hours, if you're including what we did on the main fantasy football channel right before this. But again, thank you all so much. Really do appreciate you. If you want to get your team broken down on a podcast like this or a live stream, make sure you go sign up for flockfantasy.com. Use promo code FLOCK. You can find that link in the live chat and the description. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Really do appreciate y'all. Really hope you have a great day, and hope we get to see you with the live stream tomorrow.